Hello, and welcome to HELPS, Healing from Empowered Learning and Positive Strategies. My name is Constance Brown, and I am CEO of Harmony Within Consulting. I turn victims into survivors. One thing that is true no matter how old you are, where you are in your beliefs, or if you're male or female, talking about sex is an uncomfortable subject, especially if it involves some type of abuse or misconduct. HELPS is a learning event that teaches empowerment to victims. I designed it to work with universities and nonprofits. It can be created as a 1 or 2 day event, and it's a blended event of using music therapy, graphic recording, and open space communications. I designed it to work for everyone who might be a victim of any type of sexual misconduct or abuse. However, this model is very versatile and can be tweaked to fit any type of misconduct or abuse within your organization. Why is it important and why is it needed? Well, here's just a few of the reasons why. Did you know that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime? And 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men have been sexually assaulted while in college? This fact is frightening to me. 1 in 10 women will be sexually assaulted by their partner in their lifetime. And even scarier is that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 4 boys will be sexually assaulted before the age of 18. Wow. And those are just a few of the statistics around sexual abuse. The number of victims of this horrific trauma are staggering. And what's worse is that they're inaccurate due to the number of inaccurate numbers due to the lack of reporting. Many of the attacks go unreported every year because victims are ashamed or they're afraid of their attackers. It's so important because every 98 seconds an American is sexually assaulted. We need to break the silence. My purpose in creating this method was to help victims to become self-empowered, to also work along with those who help victims by giving them the tools that they need to help in the healing process, also to create some community awareness about this epidemic and to help create some forms of interactive preventions that might help to combat it. This model is also designed to work alongside with different departments within universities in school settings, like their Title IX or counseling departments, as well as nonprofits and certain governmental agencies who work closely with victims. This model can accommodate groups as little as 5 and as large as 500. It can either be created for a 1 or 2 day event, depending on the number of participants, and it is recommended that the events be held either quarterly or at the beginning of a semester in order to capture as many individuals as possible. I knew that in order for this method to work, it needed to have some strong values. I knew it needed to have integrity and sincerity to make sure that everyone who participates knows that this is a real problem and that it needs to be addressed. No matter what you believe or how you think, you must be honest throughout the entire event or it will never work. And you must really, truly have a true sense of wanting to help others as well as yourself. I also knew that there were certain behaviors that were needed as well. You must have open communications along with some reasonable feedback so that others know if they're on the right track or not. But most important, you must have and give respect to others' privacy and their feelings. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "With a new day comes new strengths and new thoughts." I myself was a victim of sexual assault at the age of 11, something that took me a very long time to get over and even tell. It wasn't until I was an adult I finally had the courage to tell someone and get help. That is when the true healing began, and I decided it was time to not only become a survivor myself, but also to help others in this process. I was determined that it was time for the abuse to stop, and each person who has been a victim has the right to live a full and happy life the way God intended all along. Not as a victim, but as a survivor. Throughout a typical event day, we'll start off with some mingling in the beginning to get to know each other, and then we will move around to the different tables throughout the room. These will be set up in a round table type setting. Each participant will be given a bag with several items that is needed to create a toolkit which will help them throughout the event and in the future to maintain what they've learned. First, using music therapy with some graphic recording throughout the day, and then we will move into several open space conversations. The topics will be on awareness, risk reduction, interactive prevention, and finally self-empowerment. All of these will allow the individual to come and go as they would like, and each is designed to work with one another to help create a positive survivor. We'll start off with music therapy. Music therapy is a clinical evidence-based use of music intervention to accomplish individualized goals within a therapeutic relationship. Music therapy will help this individual to create a visual image that they will use throughout the day as a visual safe space in which they may go to create a positive and comforting environment for themselves. Using the provided notebook, they will use graphic recording, which is a drawing of what their image looks like to them. The use of graphic recording is designed to help the individual remember through visual stimulation. Continuing on with our journey, we will then turn the room into an open space communication forum. There will be 4 open communication groups created. One will focus on awareness on the entire situation of sexual assault. Another will be on risk reduction and how we can achieve that reduction. Interactive prevention, creating and using bystander intervention programs to help prevent attacks. And the fourth will talk about how to use all of the tools that will be given to create and ensure self-empowerment within those individuals. We created this roadmap for success and designed it to help individuals in their journey on becoming a survivor. It starts with the goal of turning the victims into survivors by using music therapy to create positive, safe images, using graphic recording to create that image so they can remember it along with other important information taught throughout the events. Continuing on down this path, we will use the open space communications so that an individual can openly talk about issues and learn some important information on awareness, risk reduction, interactive prevention, and self-empowerment, which will finally lead to the change into a positive survivor. The evidence used and the proven methods that have worked while creating this method, I use several different types of resources. I collected data from several agencies such as RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, American Music Therapy Association, the National Sex Violence Resource Center, the Change Handbook, the Mastering Change article, OpenSpaceWorld.com, as well as personal interviews with several individuals. What if one day you found yourself in a position where you didn't think you no longer had any control over what was going on in your life? What would you do? The HELPS model was designed for the sole purpose of empowering an individual to cope with whatever trauma that might have happened to them or others. The tools within this method were chosen to help ensure that an individual could move forward in the healing process by encouraging strong, positive growth using visual tools and the different methods like open space, music therapy, and graphic recording to help support them on their journey to recovery. Turning victims into survivors with positive reinforcement will not only create survivors, it will take individuals who might have become inactive in the community due to their traumatic event and turn them into a more productive member of society. This method is a lot like having faith in a higher power. Just as an individual has faith in their higher power, this method will teach them to believe in themselves using the techniques that we have provided throughout our event. When marketing my method, and branding it, I created a special logo just for this method, which can be used in marketing of the event along with your own company's branding. It's great for any type of printed materials such as pens, cups, bags, flyers, billboards, etc. I also created 3 separate pricing options to make it affordable for everyone. Because at Harmony Within Consulting, we feel that what is important is creating survivors, and we want everyone to have that opportunity. So I'm sure that we have an option that will fit your organization's specific budget. We also created with the main focus was to make it available for universities, area high schools, nonprofits, as well as some governmental agencies. We use different types of printed materials along with the organizations themselves to help promote the event. We use billboards, flyers, as well as radio, TV, and newspaper advertisements. Our website will also have all the information, including any upcoming events. Venue is one of the most important things to make sure that you can attract as many people as possible. So, a venue that has easy access and has a comfortable feel to it, either on-site or off, could make all the difference of your event's success. This is why we tell our story. It's so important for victims to feel that people understand what they're going through, so we try to put you in their place for just a little bit. Realizing that this could be you or someone you love could make all the difference in the world in how you respond to this method. Thinking it could never happen to your family, circle of friends, or acquaintances is very misleading. We need to send a message to all predators that sexual assaults need to stop, and now. I knew that in creating this method, it had the potential to help a lot of individuals become whole again. Throughout this journey, I discovered many things about what was important and what is not important enough to include in the final draft. The fact is there's monsters among us, and it's up to everyone to take a stand and say this is not going to happen any longer. This method not only creates a safe space for victims, it also teaches others through open communications about awareness of what's going on, how to reduce the risk of becoming a victim, and how to get involved with interactive prevention. I thank you for your time and consideration, and as Elizabeth Taylor said, I am a survivor, a living example of what people can go through and survive. I'm sure you can see that this method can and will turn victims into survivors. Thank you.